I call this meeting of the Davenport Community School District Board of Directors to order. Director Snyder, would you please read our board priorities?
Our board priorities are: the Davenport School Board establishes the following priorities to ensure the academic success of all students. 1, to provide leadership and direction to improve the overall learning environment in our classrooms, schools, and district, including the health, safety, security, and happiness of students and staff. And 2, to direct and support actions, programs, and activities which reduce the impacts of poverty on our students, their families, and our community.
Thank you. Director Kluhl, would you please read our mission and vision statements?
I'd be happy to. The mission of the Davenport Community School District is to enhance each student's abilities by providing a quality education enriched by our diverse community. Our vision is education that challenges conventional thinking, prepares all students to compete in a global society, and inspires our students, our parents, staff, and our community to answer the question, what if?
Thank you. Tonight is a special night for a whole lot of reasons, and we have a section that we rarely put into our meeting called Recognition of Departing Board Members from Guests. And I know that there are some of you out there that would like to say a few words. There is no time limit, and there's no and there's no particular order. So any of you that would like to say a few words, though, please feel free to come up to the microphone, tell us who you are, and say whatever you need to say.
My name is Joel Franken, and I'm the director of the Creative Arts Academy. And I find it a really difficult time saying goodbye to Rich and Jamie, and we're going to miss you, but I would like to say thank you, especially to you and also the rest of the board for being so courageous in your fight for funding equity for our students K through 12. And specifically for both of you, I know that you always keep your students first in mind when you're doing your voting. Specifically about the Creative Arts Academy, my wife Diane has always told me that the stars had to align in a special way 5 years ago. First of all, when the board, all of you and some others, gave Dr. Tate the challenge to come up with a district of distinction, and second of all, when the Creative Arts Academy was selected as one of the initiatives. Next, dozens of art organizations in the community had to come together to pledge their support, and you helped with that. And finally, we've seen and continued to see board support year after year as we continue now into our fourth year. You both have strong voices for advocacy for the arts, and you're both going to be greatly missed. And Rich specifically, Diane and I want to thank you for all the work you've done with Art Basics. You were one of the original 7, so thank you.
Good evening, board. I'm Dr. Lloyd Kilmer. I've had the opportunity and the privilege to work with Rich over the past 13 years and a number of the other board members. Congratulations to the new board members coming on board. I was trying to think of 2 words that would capture the nature of Rich and his work that he does for kids and adults in the community, and there were two words. One is compassion, and the other is innovation. Above all, Rich has the best interests of kids and their families at his heart, and especially those who have the biggest struggles, has the biggest part in his heart. And then secondly, he's always looked for interesting and different ways to do the work as a board member and to help steer the district in a direction where all the employees and those who are the beneficiaries of the work of the board get whatever they deserve to have a fruitful life. And I really appreciate your work, Rich, and congratulations on your next place, wherever that might be. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Vera Kelly, and I'm the president of the Davenport NACP branch here in Davenport. And first of all, I want to say, Jamie, I really appreciate what you done. You wasn't here long enough you was here, but you wasn't here long enough that I wanted you to stay, but I know you got to move on. But you did a great job while you was here, because when I had school forums and stuff at my church, and at the United Neighbors, you was there. So I appreciate you for what you done, and I hope that when you move on, you still can be successful like you was on the board. And to Rich, thank you. When you and I first, we didn't connect, but then we did connect, okay? And because you love kids and I love kids, and I appreciate what you did for the kids when you took them on the Hill for the funding. So whatever you guys do from here, please come back. Give advice. You know, if you see somebody on the board not doing right, you come and tell them, this is what you need to do, okay? So, and I thank you for all you done.
Well, good evening, and I want to say, first of all, thank you to all the school board members, the present and the ones that are retiring. I really do appreciate it. Rich, specifically you. You and I have been together for quite some time, not only through the school system, but in the political arena as well. And you have come up to the Capitol with the children, and who is going to do that now, by the way? Okay. I was wondering. We want that to continue. We need to have that, we need to have the students' presence up at the Capitol, so that'll be great. But long story short, I remember you and I, we've campaigned together, we've knocked doors together, we've had many conversations about why education is so important. And that'll be something that'll be ongoing, and I know that your involvement will be forever. I'm not even concerned about that. I think the wonderful thing about you is that you're a good listener. You have a great heart, especially for education. You have a great voice. You have a very calm presence. And so I thank you for all those things that you've given to the Davenport schools. You've done a great job. And I look forward to seeing you up at the Capitol. I know you'll be up there. Mm-hmm.
Good evening. I'm Cindy Winkler, live at 630 Court in Davenport. I'm also a state representative, House District 90. This building is no longer in my district. I think I share that with Phyllis, but certainly have the heart of the city of Davenport as a part of my district. I want to thank both Jamie and Rich for all that you have done and all that school board members do, both behind the scenes and also out in front, because it takes, in order to have success out in front, it takes all of the efforts behind the scenes as well. And the school board, being a part of the school board, is such an important job. There are so many decisions that you make on behalf of children in Davenport and other school board members across the state. And although our students might be about 25% 5% of our population in the state of Iowa. They are 100% of our future. And I really do appreciate all of the efforts that you make, Jamie and Rich, as you retire, but all of the other school board members that you make on behalf of the students of Davenport and the students of Iowa. Thank you for your service.
Henry Marquardt with the Quad Cities Chamber of Commerce. Want to thank President Johansson for his invitation to an open mic, but we'll not use that tonight for that long. But I did want to say thank you to Rich and Jamie for your service to this community, in particular tonight, and the rest of the board. One of the things that we find time and time again as we are out talking to our 1,800 business members is that it is the quality of workforce that sells and drives the Quad Cities economy, drives expansion, drives new businesses locating here, the high skills, highly educated populace that we have. And so the work that you guys are doing every day to keep the Quad Cities a remarkable place for all of our schools is so dearly appreciated. You guys really are the very start of driving and building this economy in the Quad Cities. And Rich, in particular, really enjoyed working with you on the adequacy and equity funding issue. Wish we would have been able to get that done while you were still on the board, but you know, the chamber looks forward to continuing to support you guys and Davenport School as we get that done in the hopefully near future, and continue to support and make sure you have what you need. Thank you.
Man, am I glad there's no time limit. Ken Crumweedy, 33 Madison Circle, Davenport. Tonight we're here to honor both Jamie and Rich, two gentlemen who have really served our Davenport School District very well, very dedicated to our system. Directors Kluhl and Snyder not only participated in our regular scheduled meetings, but served on various committees, both locally, at the school district level, at the community level, at the state level. And I know I have worked with Rich, with the Iowa School Board Association and Ralph, with presentations to districts across this state. So I know how much they've been involved. And they are both examples for all school board members to follow. I mean, they are true examples of what school board members should be and what this community expects of school board members to be. So I want to thank you for your service and your dedication. It was indeed an honor for me to work with both of you. I only have one exception, and that's with Director Kluhl. And Jamie asked me if I was going to talk about this, and I wasn't going to, but Director Kluhl, I still have a little grudge about the time you laughed at me when I was trying to climb up a down escalator, not only you and the president of this board. But anyway, Rich and Jamie, your Monday nights are never going to be the same. But your impact is recorded in the archives of this district, so thank you.
I'm Bill Decker, the Chief Administrator of the Area Education Agency. And area education agencies were created in the 1970s to help create equity for all students, excellence in the students that we serve, as well as efficiency of working together. I'm very proud to lead an organization that has embraced those roles with the Davenport District. And in doing that, we have found partners in the form of the board as a whole, Dr. Tate in particular, and the administrative team of the Davenport schools. I probably won't single out Rich or Jamie. I've appreciated getting to know both of you to some degree. I don't have the up, the down escalator story, but I do know that you are a part of and have played a part of probably one of the most outstanding boards that I've ever had the opportunity to watch work. The commitment made to student equity has been a leadership position across the state and has made good things happen across the state in conversations that wouldn't have happened otherwise. You know, and as Henry said, it's a shame that that hasn't happened yet, but it will happen because of the conversation that was created at this table, that Jamie was a part of, that Rich was a part of, but really that all of you have been a part of, and it's been a leadership position. And I, as a Davenport School District resident, I'm proud of that. And my commitment is to continue to work with the board as a whole. I'm anxious to meet the new board members, and the new board members have big shoes to fill in becoming part of that cohesive group that has a lot of different opinions, but what comes to bear at the end of the day is what's good for kids, and that's very evident as someone who gets to observe that regularly. So we're proud to be partners. Rich and Jamie, you've made a difference, and good luck in your next steps, and we're looking forward to continuing to work with the rest of the board. Thanks.
Are there any others? If not, I want to say, on behalf of the board, I want to say thank you very much for coming up and saying those kind words. And there will be an opportunity later in the evening for board members to express their thoughts. But I want to give a hand to all of the presenters. Thank you very much for coming up. I'm going to ask later in the evening for Rich and Jamie to make a few comments as well, but that doesn't come up for a while. I'm trying to find my agenda here. And so I don't know, Rich and Jamie, if you have any words you want to say to the public in general before we get to that point later in the meeting, because we have 3 meetings tonight that we're going to be conducting. We have the regular board meeting, and then we have an annual meeting, and then we have an organizational meeting. So all 3 of those will occur. But there will be an opportunity later for you to make some additional comments, but some of these people that just visited may end up deciding to leave before we get done at 10 o'clock. So, if Jamie.
Well, thank you for coming out. I mean, the work I've done here on the board is just a drop in the bucket compared to what you guys do every day, all day, for a number of years, for all the people in this area. And I thank you guys very much for your service, actually.
And I have to echo that. As I was listening to everybody speak, I mean, it makes me realize that, we sit behind this board table and we make the decisions, and we make those decisions as well as we can, and those are informed decisions based on the input from all of you out there. But in addition to that input, there's just also that hard work. I think of the hard work that folks like Joel and Diane have done. Frankly, there are people in this room who that would not have happened without, and you are certainly 2 of those people. The Creative Arts Academy was an effort that very few people understand how difficult that was. And one person that's not here is Bill Sherwood, who was also important in making that happen. All the colleagues and folks that have spoken tonight, I appreciate it. My thanks to you for what you have done to make what we've done on the board successful. Now, we're not where we need to be yet, but we will get there based on what you have done and what the future board will do for all of us. So I thank you again for the words that you've spoken tonight, and it is very, well, let's not get emotional about the whole thing. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Rich, and thank you, Jamie, and thank all of you for everything. We're going to continue on with our meeting. I want to note, however, and excuse me, Sarah, we're going to change the agenda just a bit because, Shane, you have to leave at 6:30, correct? So I'm going to ask the superintendent to introduce and welcome our new student board members, and then we'll move on to the presentation, okay?
Thank you, Mr. President. We have 3 out of the several here tonight. There's a lot going on with the students, as there always are, and appreciate the fact, Madison, you're here and you're missing. You need to be with the chamber orchestra. You're missing your honors night, so appreciate the fact that you're doing that. I know, Shane, you have to go pretty soon. So I do want to introduce Madison Cousins, West High representative, and Shane Eckhart, West High representative, and Samantha Nixit, who is the Mid-City High representative. And what I want, we'll start with you, Shane. Talk a little bit about what you're doing in school, and then if you have any report, or perhaps you'll just pass that on to Madison tonight to give any report of the school since you have to go. So why don't you start?
Well, hello, my name is Shane Eckhart. I'm currently a senior at Davenport West. Currently in school, I'm using my senior year to focus a lot on computer science and focus a lot on the mathematics side of computer science as well, because that's what I plan on entering in when I do officially make it to college. And Madison will continue with the school report.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, my turn. I will introduce myself and then go ahead with our school report. So my name is Madison Cousins. I'm also a senior at Davenport West High School. And I am involved in quite a few things. A student representative of the Worth Less campaign being my most prominent, but I'm also a varsity member of speech and debate and a national qualifying speech and debate member and a 4-year varsity swimmer. So those are 2 of my big events right now. But as for our school report, there's actually been a lot going on in the last couple of weeks and in the last year or so that we'd like to really boast about West High. So over the last year, $1.8 million in scholarships was given to last year's seniors. We've had 12 AP scholars, 6 with honors, and 1 with distinction in the last year. Our AP Human Geography, our AP English, and our AP Spanish students have really excelled over the last year. Sophomore football, 4-0. Woo, let's go. We had 6 students participate in the National Council on Youth Leadership last week. Our varsity diver, who's a freshman, her name is Tiana, is currently ranked 17th in the state of Iowa. And then we have our honors program tonight for all of our students who excelled over the last year academically. So, let's go.
Thank you very much. And Samantha, tell us a little about yourself and if you have anything to report about our Mid-City High School.
My name is Samantha Nixich, and I'm currently a senior at Mid-City High. I am involved in basketball and mainly just progressing in my academics. Recently, today actually, we had an Iowa Youth Congress go to Des Moines to present a bill on mental health training to the Humane Science Committee, or Humane Service Committee. Last week, we also started our free after-school tutoring for the main courses. We also have had our food bank start for those who need food. And we also have revised our bell schedule and added an intervention period in the 3rd period.
Thank you so much, students. These reports are very important to me and the board and the people in the audience. We appreciate you taking time to put them together. Welcome. And the board welcomes your input anytime during the meeting. Mr. President, that's the student report.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll move on to the presentation, Davenport Community Food Pantry, Superintendent Tate.
Thank you, Mr. President. Sarah McGlynn, she is the coordinator of the food pantry, and works at Monroe Elementary School. She's a mentor teacher there in the exceptional education. And, we are expecting great things from the J.B. Young Opportunity Center, and this is just one example of how we can serve the neighborhood, the community, and the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Tate. As he said, I am Sarah McGlynn. I am a nationally board certified K-2 special education teacher and at Monroe Elementary. And this is my 13th year of teaching predominantly in Davenport. I am incredibly thankful for your time. I know that that's precious, and I'm excited to share with you a passion project of mine in conjunction, as you'll soon see, with several other agencies, as well as, here's what I will tell you. One of the new things I have learned in opening a food pantry is some extra techie things. So I'm going to share with you a video that will be presented to all of the elementary and middle and high school principals this week on Wednesday and Thursday that they will then be able to take back to their buildings and share with you how you can log in and donate, to volunteer your time, and then have a couple of little information project points for you, and we'll go from there. Be happy to answer your questions. The Davenport Community Food Pantry is a joint effort between St. Paul's Lutheran Church, Davenport Community Schools, Riverbend Food Bank, and the Davenport Education Association. We have worked hard to create a unique, dignified, guest-centered food pantry experience slated to be one of the largest in the bi-state area and serving all of Scott County. This pantry was created in large part due to these two numbers. Feeding America studies have shown us 1.8 million meals are currently being distributed annually, but this is meeting only half of the needs for Scott County. Over 7,000 of the 35% of Scott County residents who are food insecure are children, many of whom are learning in our Davenport classroom. Riverbend Food Bank is capable of providing the 3.5 million meals we know our community is lacking, and the Davenport Community Food Pantry seeks to close that hunger gap. Lower academic achievement, absenteeism, tardiness, anxiety, aggression, psychosocial dysfunction, and difficulty getting along with the peers are all directly related to food insecurity, the American Society for Nutritional Sciences has told us. But this is a problem we can fix. You can volunteer to serve our families and students at the DCFP. We are located at the JB Opportunity Center and are open to guests every Tuesday and Saturday. When you volunteer at the DCFP, you can expect to see a clean and beautiful new building designed for regular use by our community members. We've worked hard to ensure all of our volunteers have an enjoyable experience they are anxious to repeat by providing clean and organized stations, directions for each volunteer station that are clear and easy to follow. There are close to 15 different volunteering options each time you serve, seeking to find a match for each volunteer and their interest and personality. Every volunteer shift is accessible to all people ranging in abilities and from ages 1 to 100 years of age. We also encourage volunteers to bring their families and involve their children in their service work. Responsible middle and high school students can also staff a station independently. Please consider taking out your mobile devices, tablets, or laptops and logging into bit.do/DCFP to sign up today for your chance to volunteer. Gather your friends, family members, service clubs, sports teams, or school staff to volunteer together and to fight against hunger in our community. If you have any additional questions about volunteering at the pantry on Tuesday nights or Saturday mornings, or if you'd like to help set up the pantry on Tuesday and Friday mornings at 7 a.m., please contact Sarah McGlynn or Adrian Picciotti. You can help end hunger in Scott County. A problem that we can easily solve. We have a beautiful facility, we have a need, we have a resource, and we were just able to put it all together in one centralized location. However, it runs on our volunteer strength as a community. We're seeking 20 volunteers every Tuesday and Saturday for our actual pantry shopping.
We also have a separate opportunity on Tuesday mornings and Friday mornings, if you like getting up really early. And that's when our delivery truck comes, and we're currently distributing roughly 8,000 pounds of food, which equates to about 7 pallets of food that are stacked about this high, which of course requires people to unload it. We have the opportunity of having some work study students and offer that as an option for them to come and work, which is a pretty cool opportunity. They'll be starting this week, as well as we'll be hoping that some of the swim team or Mid-City people or speech and debate teams come and join and pick a day to volunteer. So I'm going to show you really quickly how to do that. When you, the bit.do/DCFP is hopefully something that is easy for you to remember. It's also very easy for you to log into and should take you, the entire volunteer experience of signing in should take you less than 2 minutes to do so. And when you do that, you will see a screen that looks just like this when you log in. It's pretty easy. At the top, you will see a quick little blurb about what we're up to, as well as the different dates and opportunities that you can that you could select to volunteer. When you go to, you could use this little button here and help, or scroll down either way, to see all the different days that and options that you have for volunteering. You'll see a Saturday, you'll see a Tuesday. You'll also see the times as well as the number of slots available. So on this time, there are 4 people that were selected out of 20. So there are obviously 16 spots still available. You'll be able to kind of click on that site and see who those people are. Check out if your buddies have signed up. Be an easy way to do that. And then if you choose a date and you click to sign up, it will then look like this. It'll ask you to type in an email address, and then you will be able to create either a team name. For example, if you were selecting your speech and debate team, you could log in and put West Speech and Debate, or just your name is fine too. And then you can select however many people, up to 20, to volunteer, and this is open for anyone as well. You can select just yourself and type in just your email address. You can put your, if you wanted to have a team name, then you can select all the way up to the 20 people. You do not need to go in and put all 20 of those different humans' names in there. You can just say, I'm Sarah McGlynn, I'm bringing 20 people, and I will know that you're going to come with 19 of your friends. It isn't critical for us at this point to know who the names of all of those people. You're welcome to also save and add another person if you do want those people to be notified. When that happens, then each of those individual people will get an email reminder coming up. But it's really quick and easy to do. It should ultimately take you less than 2 minutes. We're also looking at further community partnerships as we go forward. We were fortunate enough to have some additional produce from Mid-City's Urban Farm donated to us. We have a teacher who's willing to bring in some of the extras on every Friday evenings, and that allows us to have a little bit of produce to offer to our guests that kind of first come, first serve. And we're seeking, again, our mission is to and is directly in conjunction to the board and our district's mission to really close and end the poverty gap and our hunger gap, the difference between that kind of space between the 1.8 million meals that are currently being distributed and the 3.5 we know that our community needs. So we're seeking to, again, really work in conjunction with the district and with Riverbend to decrease any of the adverse childhood experiences, trauma-related, trauma-informed care-related mission that I know that we share with the school district as well. So we have a challenge for you. We would hope that each of you on the school board, and some of your colleagues have already joined us, would be willing to donate a day a month, and also to bring a friend with you, to bring a family member. We've had a couple of first graders and kindergartners join. They are grown-ups, and they had a blast and wanted to ask if they could come back every day, which you can't, but you can come every Tuesday or Saturday. And my hope would be that you would, even if you're not able to attend every Tuesday or Saturday, that you would pick once a month, and then again, at any opportunity, share the mission that we have and kind of our objective with anyone in the community. So with that, I will let Toby kind of share a little information for you, and then be happy to answer any questions you have.
Good evening. I'm Toby Paone with the Iowa State Education Association, and I want to just say a few words about this new venture. It actually started from a situation in this very room. As you know, and I heard Bill Sherwood's name, so I have to add Bill's vision on this. He started a committee that now Linda Hayes chairs called the Poverty Committee. And Bill invited me when I first moved here to serve on that committee, and sitting across the table from me was somebody named Mike Miller, who was also new to Davenport. He came from Cleveland, Ohio, the city that I was actually born in, and so we had that instant connection right there. And come to find out, he was the president and CEO of the Riverbend Food Bank. My parents actually ran a food pantry after they retired, so I knew a little bit about the operation of a food pantry. And it was at the same time that the J.B. Young Opportunity Center was being conceptualized. So I wrote a grant and a couple of grants, and lo and behold, one thing led to another. And because of Bill's original vision, we were able to establish the food pantry over at the J.B. Young Opportunity Center. It really is all about connections. It's about people that you relate to. And through that one conversation that Bill and I had, his invitation to me led to a conversation with a guy named Mike Miller, and one thing led to another, and we just cut the ribbon to open this absolutely beautiful facility. I want to thank Mike Maloney and his staff for doing it, and the contractors and the workers who did such a phenomenal job. If you haven't been over there, you really need to see it. And I'm so proud of the fact that we are serving people right here in this community. It's not a theoretical exercise. It's very real. On Saturday, the first day it was open, 53 families came through, and we fed 215 people. And it's just going to, that's for one day. And it's just going to grow exponentially. I'm going to share Sarah's comments with regards to helping us on Tuesdays and Friday mornings. I'm there at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. I'd like to see you all in jeans and T-shirts, and come on, we need to unload that truck. On Friday, I was unloading the truck, and somebody walked in from Dunn Brothers Coffee with a $1,000 check for the food pantry. So I'm giving them a plug here, but the fact is this is getting lots of traction, and I want to, every time I walk through those doors, I think of Bill, and I think of the connections that we've been able to make that have real effect on people we may never know. That's the effect that you guys have had as members of this board, and it will continue long after you leave this board, just like with Bill. Even long after he's left this earth, his effect is still here. So please join us in supporting this food pantry as a gift, really, to give back to this great neighborhood and great city. Thank you.
Sarah, you were asking for questions, is that right?
Absolutely. Fire away.
Are there any questions or comments from the board? Director Hayes.
I have a comment and a request. As Sarah said in her opening remarks to the video that it was very unique and dignified. That it is. Dr. Tate sent out an email discussing the pantry and to join them, and I thought, well, I really don't have 4 hours, but I'll go. I went over there. That 4 hours went so fast, watching the people come in, how gracious they were, children. One lady left and brought her neighbor back. She was so excited. Another lady, she left and came back, and it was just amazing to watch the individuals, how grateful they were, and the children, oh my God, this is good food, this is really good food. And they were really happy to get those items, and just to think, to sacrifice 4 hours in an evening is nothing in comparison to seeing the joy that crossed the faces of the people that were receiving those foods. So as a challenge to each one of you at the table, even the party members, I would love for you, if you can only give a couple hours a month, to go over there, because it's well worth it. We talk about it in our mission statement and our priorities, and this is an opportunity that you can publicly show it. And hopefully, if we talk about poverty as being one of our main concerns and get out and actually do something to assist those that are impoverished it's more than just lip service. You're actually doing something to help within your community. So I don't know if you noticed on that day on the 19th and the 23rd, those LHs that were up there, that was me. So I have 8 more hours left to go this month. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other comments, questions? Director Snyder.
I have a question. Aside from going on to the BitDo/DCFP, is there other ways that people can register to volunteer for some who may not have internet access, or for some folks who are not as technologically advanced?
Yep, excellent question. We have cards that we've made that we've set on the guest front table, and our email information is readily available. Again, I appreciate that not everybody is super tech savvy. I've had to, again, stretch my wings a little bit on that front myself. But our phone numbers, I've readily handed that out to several guests. What kind of made my heart happy on Saturday was we had 3 different guests who came to shop who also asked before they left how they could volunteer. And so I will call you. Let me know your name and number, and we will be fast friends. So yes, absolutely, I'm happy to give out my personal information, my cell phone information, as well as our email contact information is posted as well. I sent a couple of my cards around. I didn't have too many extras in my purse, but the information on is all on the card as well.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Director Kluhl.
Well, this is an evening when perspective is heavy on my mind, so allow me just to say that this is exactly the kind of thing that the board had in mind when JB was closed. Closing schools is one of the hardest things that we do on the board, but to see the things that you're doing, our preschool program, these are the kinds of things that won't be the same as what they had with the school, but certainly that is a community resource that I think that all of those folks are going to be able to use, and I'm proud that Davenport Schools has taken the lead, and again, we're standing on the shoulders of others before us, and Toby, thanks for your part in that, and yours too, and I'm just, it makes me proud to be a member of the Davenport Community School District.
Me too.
Anybody else? I gotta say a couple things. As you were making the presentation, it felt like I was stunned at the presentation, and for a whole lot of reasons. And it is something that your part, Sarah, and Toby's part, and Toby's recollection of the history and thinking about it, and perspective is pretty important. And it's interesting, one of the notes that I wrote down was Rich, meaning Rich Kluhl. And my sense is that he has always been at the forefront of this kind of thinking as well. And he talks about standing on the shoulders of others, but I think that leadership and ideas and how things happen, it's just always fascinating to me. I think that particular committee has done many things, and that this, not just an idea, but this entity has actually come about and is helping students and families in the district. It's just amazing to me, and I have to say one last time for you guys, it does warm the cockles of my heart. It really does. So, and I accept Director Hayes' challenge. I can't accept yours. I can't make that commitment to 1 day a month, but
We'll take what you got.
you're right, and I'm already, I feel kind of amiss that I have not been there yet. So thank you for the invitation.
Absolutely.
Thank you for all the work you've done. Thank you for making this presentation and helping us and our community be aware of everything.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. Let's see here. Next is board reports. Are there any? Okay, seeing none, we'll move into communications. Director DeSalvo is not here yet, and so I'll ask Director Hayes to read our upcoming events.
September 19th, 5:30 p.m., LZAC Local School Improvement Advisory Committee meeting is here in the ASC Jim Hester Boardroom. October 2nd at 5:30 p.m., the Committee of the Whole meeting here in the ASC Jim Hester Boardroom. October 9th at 6 o'clock p.m., regular meeting also here in the ASC Jim Hester Boardroom. October 10th at 7 p.m., Band Spectacular at Brady Street Stadium. The rain date is scheduled for October 16th of 2017. And on October 23rd at 6 o'clock p.m. will be a regular meeting at the ASC Jim Hester Boardroom.
Thank you very much. Next is open forum. And I have no open forum requests. Oh, and our board secretary is missing. Oh, okay. Well, since I don't have any requests, I'm hopeful that there aren't any requests. But open forum is a time for community members to give input at board meetings. And it is something that I just want to express to everybody that it is always important to think about that, and we always have open forum opportunities at our regular board meetings. Next is the consent agenda. May I have a motion?
Mr. President,
Director Snyder.
I move that the board approve the consent agenda as presented.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Superintendent Tate.
Mr. President, I would like the board members to turn to the appointments and supplemental contracts portion. I am going to remove 2 names from that list before you vote. The first one is Crucy with a K, Brandon, track girls varsity North High. The second one is Williams Brianna, softball girls varsity North High.
So this is not an issue that the board votes on. Those 2 names have been removed from the consent agenda. Is there any additional discussion? Director Mayfield.
If I may ask. Yeah. They didn't withdraw, but I'm withdrawing their names at this time.
And then it's up to the superintendent, but the intent here is not that they be voted on separately, as might occur in a consent agenda. Those names have been removed. Okay? Is there any additional discussion on the consent agenda? Okay, call for the vote. Director Snyder.
Yes.
Director Hayes.
Yes.
Director Mayfield.
Yes.
Director Kluel.
Yes.
Director Gosa.
Yes.
And my vote is yes. Motion carries. Thank you. May I have a motion regarding approval of bills?
Mr. President,
Director Kluel.
I move that the board approve the following motion recommended by the administration on the adoption of bills. The resolution is as follows. Resolved that all claims presented to the board, having been duly certified as correct by the secretary, reviewed by the administration and board members, and they are hereby audited and allowed as just claims and warrants drawn on the treasury for the several amounts. Further resolved, the payments of claims and salaries be approved as presented for the periods of September 7th, 2017 through September 13th, 2017, with the following voided check, and that being check number 349466, payable to EBSCO Subscription Services in the amount of $937.29, and that was incorrect because it was the incorrect amount.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Okay, we'll call for the vote. Director Kluel.
Yes.
Director Hayes.
Yes.
Director Mayfield.
Yes.
Director Gosa.
Yes.
Director Snyder.
Yes.
And my vote is yes. Motion carries. Thank you. Superintendent report.
Mr. President, since we have 3 meetings tonight, I will not render a report at this time.
Thank you very much. We have some additional items requiring action. May I have a motion regarding approval of driver education services?
Mr. President,
Director Snyder.
I move that the board approve the administration's recommendation for the contract for driver's education services provided by Mississippi Bend Area Education Agency for $370 per student.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Director Mayfield.
Oh, no.
Oh, okay. Director Hayes.
I have a question. Is this for 17-18 or truly 18-19?
It is for 18-19.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? Okay, call for the vote. Director Snyder.
Yes.
Director Hayes.
Yes.
Director Mayfield.
Yes.
Director Gosa.
Yes.
Director Kluel.
Yes.
And my vote is to abstain. And the reason is that I'm on the AEA board, and I just want to make sure there's no appearance of conflict of interest. Motion carries. Thank you. May I have a motion regarding approval for making Poverty Committee a standing committee of the board?
Mr. President,
Director Hayes.
I move that the board approves making the Poverty Committee a standing committee of the board.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Director Mayfield.
So, up to now, it has not been a formal committee of the board. What has it been? What is its standing as far as the description?
Yes, its standing has been an ad hoc committee. It's a committee that took many forms, and it's been part of the district. There have been first came out of a long work session that the board had that established the 2 priorities. And then there was a committee that was formed, and that was probably, some years back, 4 or 5 years, I'm not sure. And, but it has never been a standing committee. So a standing committee has other criteria that are attached to it, as opposed to ad hoc can be pretty much disbanded at any time. The standing committee would be one of only 4 standing committees that the board would have if the board decides to pass it at this time. And so it would have a lot more recognition even than it has right now.
So, if it was to be dissolved, it would have to be done officially rather than just disappear.
That's
as the
exactly
ad hoc
correct.
committees.
Yes. Ad hoc committees can just disappear. This committee would, if that ever happened, yes, it would have to be officially disbanded.
Thank you.
Certainly. Director Hayes.
With my time on the committee, I've watched the committee actually evolve, and you can see the workings of the committee. I want to say the first couple meetings I had, we would take notes and do things and come back and discuss it again. But now we've actually gotten to the point where we meet every couple months, and you can see progress in it. The committee is broken down into several subcommittees, and each one will come back and report what's happened, and you can actually see progress in the moving of the committee.
Yeah.
Sure, Director Mayfield.
So, does the committee make recommendations or just observations, give reports? I understand the purpose of what to discuss, but what is the outcome of it, and who does it go to?
It's actually a working and doing committee. If we say we're going to do something, like right now, I'm in the food subgroup. With this committee, we're getting a plan together. We're collecting food. We will take the food that we collect over to the center. So each group has done something. The transportation committee for displaced students that need rides to school. They've contacted Uber. They've contacted Tots to Teens. They're actually providing transportation to get these students where they need to be. Everyone has something that they're doing and they're getting it done. There's it's not just write the notes down on your paper. Each month you come back and you report your progress within the committee. But we've not, the only out, we send usually the minutes, we send that out to people on the committee, and occasionally Dr. Tate or myself, we may discuss during the board reports that we went to the poverty committee meeting and we did this, that, or the other. But as far as official notice, we've not done that. But you can actually each month see progress the meeting has, that's taking place within the meeting.
Is it possible, since the board is not there, I mean, there might be one or two board members, but for us to have the minutes or a summary of what is taking place in order for us to keep up with what's happening?
Yes, we could summarize that. I think that would be pretty easy. Brenda takes notes, so I'm sure we could share that with the board easily. Just add them possibly to the list when we send it out to the committee members that come. People from all over the
I'm
community.
thinking board members.
Oh, no, we could for sure make sure
To
you
send
get
it to
that.
board members.
Mhm.
I think it's such an important committee that it'd be nice to keep us informed as to what's going. I have sit on that committee years ago, and it sounds like you're making good things happen, but I would love to see what's happening each month, the progress that we're making.
We make so much progress that we've gone from an hour now to an hour and a half. There's not enough time to discuss it all.
Good.
It is. We really are making
Well, I'm
progress.
looking forward to start receiving those
Okay.
monthly reports.
Right, we'll see that you
in whatever
get one.
form they come.
Thank you for your questions and comments, Director Mayfield. Anybody else? Director Kluhl. You looked like you wanted to talk.
Maybe you're sharp enough to see my green light on. I really, I just, like you said, this did come from a very long board meeting where we talked about poverty and climate in our schools as being two of the issues that came to the top in terms of what we thought were priority issues in terms of trying to prevent these impediments from impeding our kids from having a quality education. So I'm glad that those two items came to the top, and I think that making the Poverty Committee a standing committee makes sense, just like it did when we made the Legislative Advocacy Committee a standing committee. So I'm glad to see that happen, because that is our priority, one of our priorities in terms of trying to provide the kind of education that kids in Davenport deserve.
Anybody else? Director DeSalvo, thank you. Huh? No, that's okay. We appreciate you being here. And we're in discussion item 10.02, which is the approval for making Poverty Committee a standing committee of the board. And we're just in the discussion phase. The motion was made by Director Hayes and seconded by Director Gosa. Okay. Any other discussion? You know, student board members, I apologize. It's been some months since we've had student board members. And Samantha and Madison, we try to involve you in things. Some things you're going to want to be involved in. But sometimes try to get my attention if you want to say something. And then periodically, if I think of it, I'll try to acknowledge you. Do you have any thoughts on this particular issue? Go ahead, Madison.
No particular thoughts at the moment, I don't think. It's just very interesting to be able to listen to the conversation and know that I have a voice if I would like to ask any questions. So thank you for acknowledging that.
I apologize for not saying that earlier. Samantha, anything? Okay. Any other discussion? I have to say a couple of things. I wanted to thank Superintendent Tate and Director Hayes for taking this on. I think that their leadership and fortitude have helped us in keeping this going and making it a positive part of our district and of our community. I was thinking about one of those early meetings, and I believe Director Mayfield and I were at the same meeting, and I think we had about 40 people there, if I recall right, and it was in this room in a kind of a round table kind of situation, and one of the things that happened was we got into a discussion of busing. And busing can be kind of boring. It can be kind of exciting if the board decides to change boundaries or to change anything to do with busing. But what happened in that meeting, the way I recall it, is that there was a discussion about how important attendance is and how important busing can be to certain students. And I have to tell you, my recollection is that the Central City, between Central City and here, or downtown and here, can be a rough walk for a whole lot of reasons. And we were able to instantly at least adjust part of our policy. And that's one of the benefits of again, having this being a board committee, is that the board can change policy, something like that we might not normally think of, but it was brought up by a number of people there. I also want to thank Rachel and somebody else I can picture, but I can't recall her name. And in quotation marks, I put Fireball from the ISU Extension. Jen Best. My goodness. I was on a subcommittee of the Poverty Committee for a while, and I think she and Rachel, I don't know all what happened there, but it was amazing. The research they did, the ideas that they had, and they were able to move us forward again as a district in trying to assist in reducing the effects of poverty on our students and their families. That's right. 2 fireballs together works pretty good. Anyway, I just wanted to say thank you again. And there were a lot more people involved, but I wanted to thank especially all of those. Any other discussion? Then we will call for the vote. Director Hayes.
Yes.
Director Gosa.
Yes.
Director Snyder.
Yes.
Director DeSalvo.
Yes.
Director Mayfield. Yes. Director Kluel.
Yes.
My vote is yes. Motion carries. Thank you very much. May I have a motion regarding approval of policies?
Mr. President,
Director Snyder.
I move that the board approve the policy committee's recommendation and approve the following policies. 103.01, use of district communications systems. 501.03, foreign exchange students. And 104.01, honorary diplomas.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Director Kluel.
No, I do
Oh.
not. Oddly enough, I do not have anything to say.
Okay. Any other discussion? All right. We'll call for the vote then. Director Snyder.
Yes.
Director Hayes.
Yes.
Director Mayfield. Yes. Director DeSalvo.
Yes.
Director Gosa.
Yes.
Director Kluel.
Yes.
My vote is yes. Motion carries. Thank you. We have no discussion items. My goodness. With that, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn the regular meeting.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
This meeting is adjourned. Yeah, we're out of the regular meeting. Next, I call the, better look at my wording. Call the meeting to order for the Davenport Community School District Board of Directors for the annual meeting. We'll start with, looks like the annual settlement report. Mary?
Okay. In accordance with Board Policy 30402, Treasurer's Annual Report, a yearly account needs to be presented to the Board confirming the amounts in the general fund for the Davenport Community School District at the end of the fiscal year. All depositories or financial institutions designated by the Board were contacted by the auditing firm of, and there's a correction on this, and I'll make it in the minutes and on the form. Instead of ID Bailey, it'll be Bonsack and Fromlet, LLP. The depositories were asked to have a representative confirm in writing the balance of deposits as of June 30th, 2017. The Secretary's monthly financial report was prepared by our accounting department for June 30th, 2017, and the balances have been compared with the confirmations we received from the depositories. So I'm going to read the name of the bank, what's in the accounts, and then the total at the end. For the following 4 banks, there are no funds. Bluegrass Savings Bank, Buffalo Savings Bank, Northwest Bank and Trust, and Walcott Trust and Savings Bank. For Quad City Bank and Trust, for the amount in savings and cash, savings and checking account, we have $2,050.41. Investments, $5,120,689.99, for a total of $7,120,740.40. For Triumph Community Bank, $29,122,498.07, and that is also the total because there's a zero in investments. First Midwest Savings, $18,529.75, zero amount in investments, so that's the total. Wells Fargo, $473,236.41, no funds in investment, so that is the total. U.S. Bank, the amount in investments is $4,522.57. That is the total as well. For TELF, which is the Education Liquidity Fund, zero in savings and checking, and in investments, there's $44,221,771.30, and that is also the total. Then for the Iowa Schools Joint Investment Trust, zero in checking and savings. Investments in total is $31,231,328.99. So the totals in savings and checking is $31,614,305.64. Investment total is $80,578,312.85, for a total of $112,192,618.49.
Is that it? Okay, thank you very much. We'll move on to annual meeting items requiring action. May I have an annual resolution for payment of bills?
Mr. President.
Director Kluhl.
I recommend that the board approve the following annual resolution for the payment of bills. The resolution is as follows. Be it resolved that in between regularly scheduled board meetings, that after the bills have been reviewed by the board and verified by the administration, board secretary, and superintendent, the board president may be authorized to approve payments of claims and warrants drawn on the treasury for the several amounts, including payment of claims and salaries. Be it further resolved that the board will officially approve these warrants at the next regular board meeting, and the warrants will be entered into the minutes of record.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Okay. Call for the vote. Director Kluhl?
Yes.
Director Hayes?
Yes.
Director Snyder?
Yes.
Director DeSalvo?
Yes.
Director Mayfield?
Yes.
Director Gosa?
Yes.
My vote is yes. Motion carries. Thank you. May I have a motion regarding designation of financial institutions?
Mr. President,
Director DeSalvo.
I move that the board accept the administration's recommendation for the following resolution. Resolved by the Board of Directors of the Davenport Community School District in the counties of Scott and Muscatine, State of Iowa, that the following named financial institutions are hereby designated as depositories of funds for said school district and amounts not to exceed the amounts herein after set forth. And the school district's treasurer is hereby authorized to deposit the Davenport Community School District's funds in the amount not to exceed named for said financial institutions. Wells Fargo Bank, N.A., Davenport, Iowa, $60 million. U.S. Bank, Davenport, Iowa, $60 million. Northwest Bank and Trust Company, Davenport, Iowa, $20 million. First Midwest Bank, N.A., Davenport, Iowa, $5 million. Quad City Bank and Trust, Davenport, Iowa, $60 million. Triumph Community Bank, Davenport, Iowa, $60 million. Bluegrass Savings Bank, Bluegrass, Iowa, $5 million. Southeast National Bank, Davenport, Iowa, $5 million. Walcott Trust and Savings Bank, Walcott, Iowa, $5 million. Iowa Schools Joint Investment Trust, Des Moines, Iowa, $45 million. The Education Liquidity Fund, IPAS, TELF, Des Moines, Iowa, $45 million. Blackhawk Bank and Trust, Davenport, Iowa, $5 million.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
I'm sorry, who gave that?
I did.
Okay, thank you. Is there any discussion? Director Mayfield.
Because I don't know what they are. Iowa Schools Joint Investment Trust, Educational Liquidity Fund, and well, I know what Black Hawk is, so those two.
Okay. Marcia, do you want to explain it?
As to what they are, the Iowa School Joint Investment Trust is sponsored by the School Board Association, and they work in partnership with the PMA Financial Network. And basically, it is a program that allows this organization to pool all the school district's funds to invest. And so since they have a number of school districts, quite a few school districts that invest, we can get higher investment rates by having deposits or investments with them. And then the TELF, the Education Liquidity Fund, is basically the same concept where they pool school districts' funds together to make investments. And TELF came after the program by the School Board Association, basically to be in competition with them. So school districts have two programs that they can go to that are specifically designed for school districts where there's a pooling of funds, so hopefully we can get better investment rates.
If I may ask, who was that created by then? Is it an institution in itself, or is it all these different districts are coming together,
right,
appointing someone to set it up and run it?
The Iowa School Joint Investment Trust was created by the Iowa School Board Association.
Okay.
And let me see, the TELF, the Education Liquidity Fund, I don't have here who it was that actually set it up, but it is another financial network that came together in order to, like I said, to compete with the School Board Association.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other discussion? I've got one question. Southeast National Bank, is that the bank that took over for Valley Bank?
No, that was Buffalo
No. Yeah, Great Southern was the one that took over for Valley.
Southern, okay. I just want to make sure there's no legacy stuff there. That sounded like a big bad deal.
Yeah, no.
Okay, great, thank you. Any other discussion? Okay, call for the vote. Director DeSalvo.
Yes.
Director Kluhl.
Yes.
Director Hayes.
Yes.
Director Snyder.
Yes.
Director Mayfield.
Yes.
Director Gosa.
Yes.
My vote is yes. Motion carries. Thank you. May I have a motion regarding approval of level 1 and 2 investigators?
Mr. President,
Director Hayes.
I move the board approve the level 1 and 2 investigators as presented.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Director Gosa.
I was looking at this. What does this cost us? I didn't see any price on anything.
Superintendent Tate.
Well, for our employees who are active, it doesn't cost anything except their salary. We hire retired educators to do our internal investigations. That could be bullying or harassment. And I'm not sure, it could be $28 an hour. I don't have the total fee, but we're not asking you to approve the fee right now as much as just appointing the people. The level 2 can be very expensive because we're talking about investigators. And that will come about whenever a lawyer recommends that we go to that. So we might be investigating internally, and we come to the point and they say, whoa, we really need an outside agency, and that can get very expensive.
Gotcha.
Any other discussion?
Yeah,
Director
I'm a little
Mayfield.
lost here.
Sure.
Talking about level 1 and level 2 investigators. Where do they come from? What's the purpose? I know investigating, but an example of what they would be used for.
The level 1 are primarily used for bullying or harassment investigations, and we have several every week. And so they will go out and talk to the students or people in the schools, and they will render an investigation on whether there was bullying or not. Same thing for harassment. So that's their job. Essentially, they investigate and render a written report.
Does that answer your questions, Director
Yeah,
Mayfield?
well, level 2, I assume, is just you bring people from outside. I just heard you say something to that
Yes,
nature.
and they too will render a report and sometimes a recommendation. But again, it's for much more serious things that we shouldn't be handling internally, where we need an objective investigator from outside.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? All right, we'll call for the vote. Director Hayes.
Yes.
Director Kluhl.
Yes.
Director Mayfield.
Yes.
Director Snyder.
Yes.
Director DeSalvo.
Yes.
Director Gosa.
Yes.
My vote is yes. Motion carries. Thank you. May I have a motion regarding appointment of medical director?
Mr. President,
Director Kluhl.
move that the board approve the appointment of Dr. Naomi Chile to serve as the medical director for the 2017-2018 school year for a fee of $6,300.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Okay, call for the vote. Director Kluhl.
Yes.
Director Hayes.
Yes.
Director Gosa.
Yes.
Director Mayfield.
Yes.
Director Snyder.
Yes.
Director DeSalvo.
Yes.
My vote is yes. Motion carries. Thank you. May I have a motion regarding appointment of 504 ADA coordinator? Director Snyder.
I move that the board approve the administration's recommendation on the appointment of TJ Sneckloff to serve as the Section 504 ADA coordinator for the 2017-18 school year.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Director Gosa.
So does that mean that TJ is switching positions, or you're just adding another title to him?
We're not adding. He now has a title. We're just reappointing him.
Oh.
So it's the job he now has. It's just a matter of
Okay.
reinstating. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Anything else? All right, we'll call for the vote. Director.
No,
Oh, excuse me.
hand up,
Okay,
just
Director
hard to
Mayfield.
see.
It's okay.
So how long has this position existed, if I may ask? I'm sure it's not anything new.
As long as the law has existed, and I couldn't tell you
So we're
years
talking
and years
20
and
years, 30
Sure.
years?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
I wasn't aware that school system had its own private well, we can call it investigator, director, or representative that enforces the 504. So that's why I asked that.
Yeah, and we're required to do that. So yeah, it's been forever since the law has been in existence.
Okay.
Anything else? All right, call for the vote. Director Snyder.
Yes.
Director Hayes.
Yes.
Director Kluhl.
Yes.
Director Gosa.
Yes.
Director Mayfield.
Yes.
Director DeSalvo.
Yes.
My vote is yes. Motion carries. Thank you. May I have a motion regarding approval of legal counsel?
Mr. President,
Director Hayes.
I move the board to approve the district to continue to utilize the services of Lane and Waterman LLP as legal counsel to represent the district as necessary for the conduct of legal affairs of the Davenport Community School District.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Well, I have to make a comment on this. I end up having to work with Lane and Waterman at least occasionally, and sometimes it feels like frequently. I think that they do a great job for the board and for the district. And I think that Wendy and Dick both, and that's Wendy Meyer and Dick Davidson, I think they know the law very well, and I think they understand our district and our culture, and I believe that they have genuinely helped us in a lot of areas. And so I support the recommendation. Any other discussion? Okay, we'll call for the vote. Director Hayes.
Yes.
Director Gosa.
Yes.
Director DeSalvo.
Yes.
Director Kluhl.
Yes.
Director Snyder.
Yes.
Director Mayfield.
Yes.
And my vote is yes. Motion carries. Thank you. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
This annual meeting, thank you, is adjourned. Next, we have an organizational meeting. I called this organizational meeting of the Davenport Community School District Board of Directors to order. All right, first up is the report of the canvass of votes, and we'll ask our board secretary, Mary, to give that.
Okay. I'm just going to read from the abstract of votes given to me by the the auditor's office. We, the undersigned members of the Board of Supervisors, serving as the Board of Canvassers for Scott County, Iowa, hereby certify the following to be a complete abstract of the votes cast in the 2017 school board elections. We have reviewed the tally list returned from the precincts for the Davenport Community School District and find the following to be true. For the Office of School Board Director, 4-year terms, Davenport Community School District, there were 6,240 votes cast, of which Allison L. Beck received 1,628 votes. Bruce Potts received 1,454 votes. Clyde Ray Mayfield received 1,172 votes. Elliot Greer received 675 votes. Rodney Blackwell received 667 votes. David Reek received 614 votes, and then there was a scattering of 30 votes. We declare Allison L. Beck, Bruce Potts, and Clyde Ray Mayfield duly elected to the Davenport Community School District to 4-year terms.
Okay, thank you very much. And certainly, congratulations to all of you, Allison, Bruce, and Clyde. That's fantastic. Now we're going to take a few moments and recognize our departing board members, Rich Kluhl and Jamie Snyder. So first, we've got a couple of plaques that we're going to give you. And then we're going to give you an opportunity to say any words that you'd like, and then we're going to ask board members, and I'm going to ask student board members as well, because Madison, you've been working with us for quite some time. Samantha, not so long, but if you have anything that you'd like to say, there will be an opportunity there. So, I have some words that I'm going to talk about later, but why don't we give the plaques, Mary? I'll probably get my fingers all over these things, but I'll try not to. And this says, presented to Rich Kluhl in appreciation for 16 years of outstanding service to the Davenport School Board. And this is with the Davenport Community Schools logo. So, Rich, thank you very much. And we'll be talking more in a few minutes. All right. The next up is Jamie. Jamie, come on up. This one is similar, a little bit different. It's presented to Jamie Snyder in appreciation for 4 years of outstanding service to the Davenport School Board with the Davenport Community Schools logo. Thank you very much, Jamie. Good job. So we're getting kind of down to it, and it's interesting reflecting on all of this, and all of us have different recollections, and so I'm going to ask our departing members first, and then I will ask the rest of the board if they have any words. And again, there's no time limit. So, Director Snyder, do you have anything you want to say?
I do. Not a lot, but working with you guys has been absolutely the most rewarding thing I've ever done in my life. Every single one of you, board members, administrators, everybody that I've had the privilege to work with in the last 4 years are absolutely some of the most outstanding people. It's It's just absolutely amazing to see all the stuff that goes on. And I told a story a while back. It was about a year and a half into my term, and I saw a story come across, something about students. And I remember I looked at my wife and I said, "Is that one of my kids?" And then I kind of paused and it hit me. I've heard that from teachers and administrators, custodians, everybody in these child's lives for so many years. And they always call them their kids. And when I came on as a board member, I never thought a year and a half later I would have 15,500 kids. It's just absolutely amazing. Bruce, you have a good idea what it's going to be about. Allison, I think you do too. You guys are going to absolutely love it, and I'm proud of you guys. Some of the things that I'm proud of that have happened while I've been on the board. Mid-City got their well-deserved new building and actually became officially a high school from a program. North started and graduated students in their dual enrollment program. The Creative Arts Academy opened and is thriving today and actually running out of space. Central finally got its pool and auditorium. We've made great strides in our graduation rates. We've received recognition from the state level regarding our leadership in the way of AP courses. North received its long overdue music edition. West started its City High program in this past year. Those students, some of those students won the World Robotics Championship. And there's just numerous other things that have happened in the last 4 years. It's just been an incredible ride, and I thank everybody.
Rich?
I'm glad Director Snyder talked about all the good things. He was the Luke Skywalker. I think I'm going to be the Darth Vader because I've got some of the things that we didn't accomplish, but all those things that we did, I'm so thankful for. And as most of you know, we are unpaid. I hope, Bruce, you and Allison realize that. This is not, sorry, it's too late.
Somebody said I got postage. Maybe.
So being unpaid, we don't have any professional speechwriters, so perhaps the bar is a bit lower here. But after 16 years, people expect somebody to say something, and they expect it to be profound. But I don't have anything profound, but a couple of months ago, I had the opportunity, I was blessed with the opportunity to give the graduation commencement speech for Central High School, and it was about grace. And so it's about grace that I want to talk about tonight a little bit. My thanks to everyone here who has made this happen. And I wanted to start out, I jotted down the names of the board members as I recall them from back in 2001 when I started on the board. Jim Hester, the man whose name this room is named after, his picture is up here on the wall in that pose. What he's saying there is what about the kids? Jim Hester, any of you that knew him, would always bring us back to the table when things started going kind of far out there and say, well, this is about the kids. What about the kids? He would bring us back down to earth, and I really respected Jim in my first year on the board. Susan Lowe was our president. Mavis Lee, board member, she was so dedicated that she had delivered a child, and we had a serious vote that came up, and she actually voted from the hospital just after she delivered her child. It was a very important vote. Of course, Steve Emming, interesting guy. Now I think the chair of the library board. The only guy I know that actually wore a sandwich board in Buffalo advertising for school board. That's how he advertised for school board. Funny guy. And then we all make fun of attorneys, of course. Steve Hunter, Pat Zamora, Tim Tupper, starting from Shakespeare when he said, first thing we do is we kill all the lawyers. So we've always had fun with attorneys, but these folks were very good. Pat Zamora in particular was president for a number of years, and she provided us a great deal of stability. There were some rocky roads some years before, and she provided stability for this board. Nikki DeFow, We had frequent differences of opinion, but I don't think there was anybody that was more intelligent or articulate on the board than Nikki DeFow, and I really appreciate, I wish she was here tonight to hear that, because sometimes our conversations were not so congenial, but we always had the same goal in mind. Alan Gard was on for a short time. Alan, you always knew where he was at. There was no guessing where Alan was going on a particular subject. Dan Portis was on for about a year. Dan brought a business perspective to things. We had an interesting discussion. Ralph, I don't know if you were on at that time, about commercialization of schools, and it was a very interesting conversation. Ken Crumwitty, Ken has talked about our fun between Ralph and I and him in Des Moines, and truly we had some wonderful times in Des Moines, learning, having fun with folks who made decisions there. It was so enjoyable and so progressive. All of us took part in the Leadership Academy, and I wish they still had that going there with ISB, but they're not doing it for some reason. But it was a great opportunity to learn leadership skills early on. Ken and I worked on the vision process long and hard, and it's the vision that we read every board meeting. I hope you all will take it more than just words. The question, what if? Actually, we were going to use a different idea, but Grinnell College had already copyrighted the phrase that we wanted to use, so we ended up with that question, what if? What if? And that was meant to be open-ended, to make the board continue to question, well, but what if? What if? The innovation. And so Ken is one of those guys that in this life that I call brother. There's not a lot of people that I can say that about. Bill Sherwood, of course, Bill had poor vision. I was taking him home one night from school board meeting and talking about the ultimate sixth extinction that's going to happen, I believe, personal opinion. I don't think we can stop it. Bill says, well, what do you want us to do, commit suicide? Well, the fact is, what we all do is we all hold our little candle. We all do something. Each of us board members comes forward with our candle, trying to provide some sense of justice and what's right in the world. We all do that. Katie Hansen was here from Ambrose, provided a good touch from higher education. Ralph Johansson, my Aristotelian friend. Ralph and I are opposites and twins in so many ways. And we've had such great discussions. I still don't understand why he doesn't understand the right way to think about things, but he doesn't. But he's trying to convince me of that too, and it's provided for many interesting and probably comical moments for the board. I hope we can continue that. I'm sure that we will. Linda Hayes, I've learned, has a deep heart. She feels deeply about things on this board, and I think we need people that not only think deeply, but we need people that feel deeply. Julie DeSalvo, who I supported in the special election because I thought she was good stuff, and then pestered her to run again in the general election, even though she said that she had time constraints. I said, go ahead, go for it. And so you can blame me if there are times when Julie doesn't appear here at the board table, because she told me early on, I don't think I have time. I said, go for it anyway, because you have the stuff. Maria Dickman was here for a short time. She's now, of course, on the city council, and I think she may have been the youngest to come on, but it may have been Dan Goza.
She's younger than me.
Is she? Okay. But so anyway, Dan is the youth on the board, and I think that's important. Got kids, young kids. What was it? I think Ken was telling me that if you want to run in the Fillmore area, you better talk to Dan, because Dan knows everybody out there. So, and I think that and the labor perspective has been good for the board too. We've never really had that very strongly. Well, we had Bill Sherwood, of course, was pretty strong, and if Toby was still here, he'd agree to that. Clyde Mayfield and I have shared books and discussions, and before he was on the board. And I think we'll continue to have those discussions. Again, Clyde and I oftentimes start from different places. We can see that end out there. We both have that same goal, but we go different paths. But we have the same goals in mind. Jamie, policy chair, I agree with Vera and Don, every reason why he should have stayed on longer, because I think you had a big picture mentality. And I think that was important for our board. We talked about moving towards policy governance, which is big picture governance. And Jamie was part of that. And it didn't happen. And without Jamie now here, I don't know if it will proceed. But it's one of those things that I really respect him for. So Allison Beck, Bruce Potts, this is where I kind of quit thinking about how the order of this was, how this was going to go. And I got to tell you, school board members, that things aren't always like awake kind of eulogy things. Actually, there's some exciting stuff that goes on. So not every night will be like this. But I think, as I said before, and let me say this, that is, I'm no secret, some of you know that I'm running for a certain political office with the city government at this point. I was out walking doors the other day, and I go up to one door and knock, 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 and you never know what to expect, but what I hear inside is, "Mom, an old guy out front." And so it gets back to that presentation I did at Central on grace. Be not only graceful to others, but be graceful to yourself. So I'm older, and that's okay, and I'm coming to peace with that in some way, shape, or form. But the charge to you all is to say, hey, you know, these folks here, all those folks that I listed before, are all of the shoulders that you're going to be standing on as you move behind this desk. You're not starting out new from scratch. You're starting out with a wealth of feelings. I'll tell you what, that first group of people that I mentioned, I sat in a board meeting with them at North High School when we were closing Grant and Johnson schools. People threw stuff at us on stage. There was police out protecting our cars. There are some hard times coming up for you, including our superintendent being attacked by the state, and there are some tough issues coming up for you. So that's my charge to you all and to the board, is to recognize that, you know, we're here standing on the shoulders of many good people who have many good ideas. And so while your baseline is going to be new, you're starting new, recognize that, as Vera said, there are people here you can call on. Some of these people are dead. Others of us are still alive, maybe old, but we're still alive. And we're here to try to help. And the issues that are left undone disturb me. We still have not resolved the moral imperative of equal funding for all students in the state of Iowa, based on your zip code. We haven't gotten there. Environmental leadership. You know, we put a stake in the ground with geothermal at a lot of our schools, Sudlow included. That was leadership. And I hope this board will move forward with solar energy. We have the opportunity, if we don't wait too long. It's out there. It's a leadership responsibility. Legislative advocacy, which we started some 10 years ago, 12 years ago, it's needed now more than ever. Now, we've got the equality issue, but we've also got adequate funding for our students, just in general. As we're talking about closing schools, cutting $3, $4, $5 million per year the next 3 or 4 or 5 years. Education, as I've talked to teachers, is being affected by that lack of resources. And we need to let our legislators know in every way, shape, or form that we can that children are suffering. Children are being attacked because of the lack of funding. And I know that our local legislative leaders have helped us with that. But we haven't reached that point yet. And it's like Martin Luther King talked about. He said, you know, he was talking about racial equality, and he said, you know, I can see the top of that mountain. Now, I may not get there with you, but I can see it. I've got a vision. And this board has a vision in place now. What if? So I think that we can do it. I think this board can do it. But please feel free to contact any of us former board members, because we have the same vision you do, and it's the best thing for all kids in our state and in our city. Thank you.
Thank you both. At this time, I would open it up to any other board members that would like to make any comments. Director DeSalvo.
I know that Director Kluel mentioned my uncertainty in coming on this board. And Allison and Bruce, I hope that we can give you that welcoming, that comfort, that guidance, that leadership that I was provided when I came. I was sitting right where you were, nervous as all get out. And these guys talked me into this. And it's the most rewarding, it's the hardest job you'll ever have, but the most rewarding to know that you can really make a difference. So, Director Kluel, I'm going to miss your analogy so much. We talk about birds, we talk about grass. He's always comparing something to something, and it's hilarious. The fish, the rocks, the mountains. And I'm always trying to figure out, where is he going with this? But I love it, and you have been a dear friend and a wonderful leader, and paved the way on a lot of our causes, especially the inequity and inequality. And we will carry that torch, but we will hope that you will be there with us when we're marching on the state of Iowa, going after all of those legislators up there and supporting Dr. Tate as we have. So thank you for everything you've done for the last 16 years. We can fill a seat. I tell you what, you've got some tough shoes to fill, but we won't ever fulfill the person, but we'll fill the seat. My partner in crime over here keeps me giggling and laughing, Mr. Snyder. I remember when I ran, there was an open spot. I didn't get it. It was Linda that was brought in, and I can't remember. I think it was when Bill passed. And I wasn't sure at then I even wanted to run. I said, I don't know if I'm the right person for this. And I will never forget, Jamie said something to the effect of, you just saying that leads us to believe you are the right person. And so just that confidence in me and what I could do, and I so appreciate that. We have a lot of fun up here, not at anyone. Usually it's at each other, like, he's poking fun that I got something in my hair or whatever it is. But I will miss you a great deal, because you've helped me and kept me in line and showed me where to be and explained things to me that I perhaps didn't understand. And so I so appreciate that. And you've been a really good friend, and I'm going to miss you a ton. Your orneriness, your little smiley face is on my paper. So thank you both for what you've done for all of these years. Like I said, we can fill a seat, but we can't fill those personalities that we're sure going to miss. So please keep in touch. I want to see you out there like we see Ken. Ken comes and visits us still too. And so please continue to be around, because we'll miss you a lot.
Thank you. Nice comments. Director Hayes.
I want to tell the both of you, it has been an awesome pleasure to work with the both of you. When I came on an appointment, you both made me feel really, really welcome. I kind of questioned you, Rich. Seriously, I questioned you. And it was almost one of those, but we'll work through this. And we did. And you were totally different than what I imagined. I enjoy you challenging us. You make us think. In many, many cases, you truly play the devil's advocate in things, and it opens us up. And, you are a true visionary, and I appreciate that in you. I appreciate your candidness. I appreciate your thoughtfulness, and I'm really going to miss you. I'm going to miss the students coming in, noticing your haircut and everything that happens with you. But again, I will keep your number in my phone, and don't be surprised in the least bit when you get a call. Jamie, I don't even know what to say. I have no idea. I can remember at a time that we were both in the audience, just sitting, observing the meetings like Allison did so many weeks, so many years, and you actually taking your seat. Oftentimes I would sit in the audience, and it's like, oh, I wish they would say this. I wish they would say that. And you would say it. And it's like, we have like minds. He thinks, and he's able to be my voice for me on things that I can't say, questions that I can't ask. You almost nailed it every time. And I really appreciate that. And to have the opportunity to have worked with you personally, it's been wonderful. We're going to miss your intuition and everything that you offer to the table. We're going to miss your humor that you bring to the board. We're going to miss everything about you. And again, I will be calling you also to not only talk about board businesses, just say, hey, how you doing? And look out to see you sometime in the meetings to join us. So I'll miss the both of you. Whatever it is you choose to do, I'm sure you'll do it well.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? Director Gosa.
First, I just want to say, Jamie, you look great for having 15,000 kids. So, way to keep your figure going. I'll go for you first, Rich. I wish you the best. I hope you do make on the city council. I know sometimes we butt heads, and that's all right. Not everybody's as smart and intelligent as I am, but, you know, whatever. But, no, and I'll definitely miss the Whiteys after the meeting, so.
Great.
Yeah.
Never got invited.
But so I wish you the best, Rich. It's been good working with you. Jamie, I wish you the best too. Now I'm going to be the only goofball on the board. I won't have no one to banter back and forth with. I'm starting to bring Ralph around, but it's a little rough sometimes. But no, thank you guys for all you've done, and especially Rich for as many years as you've been on. I want to say you were probably on the board while I was still in high school. So.
Is that right?
That's right. I graduated in 02. So again, thank you guys for all you've done. It's been real, it's been fun, and sometimes it hasn't been real fun.
Thank you very much, Dan. Clyde, do you have anything?
Well, first, I'd like to say, Jamie, I admire that you took the time to do what you're doing. But not only do I admire what you're doing, but how well you've done it. I used to ask who was on the committee, policy committee, and who was making, and I realize in your rewriting a lot of those policies, the effort and time that you've put into it. That by itself, you should have a gold star, because I know it takes a lot of your personal time to do something like that. So I appreciate the time that I've been here. I've watched how you've conducted yourself, and it's always been above the norm. I'm sure you'll be successful, as you already have been, no matter what you're doing the next 20 or 30 years. So keep doing what you're doing. Rich, I don't know what to say about you. What could I say that hasn't already been said? Some people will probably be surprised to know that you were probably one of the first ones to say, Clyde, why don't you run for the school board? See, me and Rich used to have a lot of philosophical talks. He'd come by every week so we could sit and have our 15 or 20 minutes, maybe hours, sometimes it'd roll into. After I got on the board, all the talk stopped. You didn't come around anymore, Rich. I miss you. See, we can't talk philosophy here. Well, you can, I can. But in all this that has happened over the last year and a half that I've been here, I realize how devoted you are to what you're trying to accomplish, and that you do believe in the best for the kids. I wanted you to see another side of life, so that's why I took you to some people's house. See, it's one thing to philosophize about it, but it's a whole different thing to live it. And that's what I wanted you to see, is how people have to live, not just how theoretically we can do the right things that may not accomplish what we want, but we have the right thought in mind. we try. And we try from different perspectives. I know that we have the same objective, but at the same time, my background tells me that I would like to accomplish the same thing different. So I know your heart's in the right place, even if I don't think your head's in the right place. That's okay, because your heart's more important to me than what you got up there. So thanks for the time we spent together. And you can still come around. We can get back to that philosophical life, and you don't have to deal with those hard questions that I would throw at you all the time. Thanks for being a part of it.
And I do want to thank you for taking my head and heart over to that house. That was very meaningful to me.
Thank you, Clyde. Getting towards the end. Madison, is there anything you've got?
So I'm lucky enough to say that I've received a great education in the Davenport Community School District, and that is due in large part to the board and to the support of the board. So I hope that Director Kluhl and Director Snyder, that you're able to live graciously and generously and passionately in whatever you pursue next, and that you get to make progress in that. I regret not being able to work with both of you more, especially Director Snyder. Rich, I've gotten to work a lot with you, and that's been a great experience, but both of you, I wish I had been able to work with you more. And I hope you continue to work and advise in education, especially from everything that the rest of the board members have said and from what the community members have said. I know that both of your opinions and your insights were valued highly, and so I'm sure we will miss that, even though we have some great new board members coming up to fill your shoes. But I respect everything that you've done, and I'm grateful for the legacy and the impact that you have left on this board and on the students of our district.
Thank you, Madison. Samantha, I know that you haven't had more than probably 5 minutes with either one of them. Do you have anything you'd like to say? Okay. Sorry to put you on the spot. Superintendent Tate, do you have any words?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Jamie, I just thought of some words: solid, strong, thoughtful, steady, supportive, and you always made me feel secure as a leader, and that's very, very important. Rich, one word: provocative, but in a good way. You provoked reflection and action. I never knew what you were going to say, and I would tell my leaders, we got this action, I have no idea where Rich is going to come from. You would always surprise me, and I'd always go home with homework, like the sixth extinction. I got to go look that up tonight. But
kind of depressing, Art.
Thank you for being our white knight in shining armor with our war against funding inequality.
Thank you. I've got a few words. I'll try and keep it kind of short. 2 minutes. I do want to say that actually Nikki texted me earlier, and I'm not a big texter, but she did express that she wished she could have been here, and but there was some other really important thing that she had to attend to, but I wanted to note that. There's so much to talk about. You know, I guess with Jamie, it is interesting as I think about the various things, and it's interesting to think about Art's thoughts on some of your great characteristics. And I've thought about some of your passions for arts and extracurricular activities. I've appreciated all the work that you've done on policy and helped our board and our district to navigate through some of that. It's challenging, and it's probably mostly thankless. Rich mentioned earlier policy governance, which I do think is it's a pretty big idea, and it's one that with your review of that and leadership. Yeah, we didn't get it through the board, but you know, I think about a lot of things that happen, and it takes time to do some of these things. And Rich has used the phrase "standing on shoulders of others," and that might be something that happens in the future. I don't know. I was reminiscing about the meeting that you and Nikki and I had over at the St. Ambrose facility. I can't think of the name now. The mansion across the street. Bishop House. Yeah. We were sitting there as you were contemplating whether or not to run. And it was really, really interesting. And I think Nikki was probably encouraging you, and I hope I was encouraging, but I was probably more factual. I don't recall exactly, but I have been really happy that you've been here. I'm kind of a numbers guy, and especially Allison and Bruce, you'll find out some of this, but usually this board has about 50 meetings a year. And that's regular board meetings. I mean, tonight we had 3 meetings, but between regular board meetings, committees of the whole, and then committee meetings, in my estimation, take up about 300 hours a year of board members' time. And that's a load. You know, when you think about all of the other things you can be doing. And I think about all of the people on this board, and I value them all. But I value I value Rich and Jamie tonight for so many things. But when I think about that time, and I'm going to slide over to Rich here for a minute, but on top of those meetings that I mentioned, we also have hearings. We have expulsion meetings. I mean, we have a lot of things that happen. And then on top of that, sometimes you'll get together at Whitey's and have a discussion on swimming or something. I mean, there are a lot of things that end up taking up time. One of the things that I think has taken just absolutely phenomenal time is Rich and his efforts in legislative advocacy. And when I first got on the board, it was a long time ago, and shortly after I got on, we had a kind of a planning meeting, a workshop out at John Deere Davenport. And as we were leaving, Rich had expressed the idea of legislative advocacy. He may have talked a little bit about getting on the bus. I don't recall all of it. But as we were going through the doors, as we left the facility, I asked Rich, what in the world is this? Can I get involved in it? Because it just seemed like the right thing to do. And at that point, we weren't talking about equality or equity. This was just legislative advocacy. And Cindy, I'm very thankful for you being here tonight. I'm thankful for you staying, because our legislators are really, really important. And the board tries to work with our legislators, and especially our local contingent. They're so important. But Rich got to a point where later on, as we started talking about equality and equity, he almost knew every legislator in the state, because the vision was equality and then eventually equity as well for all students in the state. And this was a pretty radical idea. It may seem normal when I say it, but the radical portion is that it forces you to think about how important every single student is. And when I talk with other people, there are taxpayers out there there are people in our community that believe that board members should only be advocating for students in the Davenport Community School District. And so it's a pretty big difference in the way that you think. I think that Rich is absolutely right. In fact, I made a note here. It says in every philosophical debate, you were always right, Rich. So I had to.
There's a follow-up to that. I have a sense. Yeah.
Okay. By you, not by me.
You're admitting?
I'm accepting. No, I'm not going to qualify it or anything. It's it's just one of those things. Although, and I thought about the comments about where you are in your head and where you are in your heart that were brought up, and perhaps my thinking was more from my head and yours was more from your heart during some of those philosophical discussions that we never did get resolved. And it was always interesting, I have to say, how far apart we were and at least where we got to when we were done, wherever that was. One of the things, too, I thought about all this, Rich, and I thought that some of your comments were, I thought of them differently than provocative. I thought of them as sometimes wild and crazy. Sometimes I was irritated by certain things that you would be saying. But in spite of that, I always have believed that every position that you took was principled. And so, you always had strong feelings, even if I believed that they might be wrong. So,
Never forget attendance.
Never forget attendance. Attendance was hugely important. And I never forget some of the other things that you've talked about. Attendance was big, and I have to say that attendance has always been a huge issue for Rich, and there are only two people that I can recall ever during my terms as president that I have stopped the conversation. And those two happen to be two amazing people. One is Rich and one is Ken Crumwitty. And I suspect, unless I get really forgetful in my old age, that those are two situations that I will never forget. And there are even some gestures that accompany some of that.
Yeah, Ken just made a gesture, I think.
I'm going to come to some final comments here in a minute, but another thing I wanted to jump back to Jamie for a minute, that when I would be out in public and talking with various people, we have so many different activities that we participate in. And I will tell you, I was at an open air band probably about 4 to 6 weeks ago. And there were some parents and some students from North. And they came up to me and told me how much they loved Jamie. And that they appreciated so much. And this had to do with something I can't even recall exactly, but it had to do with something that he had done in an advocacy mode that helped actually 2 of these students decide to become teachers. And, you know, it's pretty cool. It really is when people tell you these things about how great somebody else is, and when young people talk about the inspiration that they've gotten from somebody that you treasure and you value like that. So it's just another facet that as I thought about it, it just seemed so important to acknowledge that. I could talk, like I say, a lot more on each of you. I have some closing comments, unless there's anything else that needs to be said. Okay. If we've said it all, and Rich, did you have anything, or you're writing? I didn't know.
Well, I just, there were a couple things I did want to say. One was leadership on the board makes a huge difference. I guess I don't need to say that to anybody, but things were never as much fun as they were until Ralph was board president. He just brought a sense of joy, and despite his numbers mentality, he was able to have fun with it for the most part, and it made it a lot more pleasant for me. I really enjoyed that. And the other was the, I was thinking about my statement about walking doors and the kid that said, just an old guy out front. I was thinking of you guys, and I was thinking, you know, it's interesting how one day you're at high school commencement sitting out there, and the next day you're an old guy at somebody's door asking for appreciation. Isn't that interesting? Perhaps crazy, but some of us do it again and again and again. Yes.
Okay. There was a concept that came up earlier this year. I don't recall where it happened. I don't recall who identified it, but it made me think about some thoughts that are not original thoughts for me, but I've been thinking about them quite a bit. And the basic concept that I think about is that we're all in this together. And that was expressed somehow earlier this evening by somebody, or by numerous people. Oh, sorry. And have you guys missed everything I've said?
I'm going to repeat it all again.
Oh, okay. I'll try. So I apologize for that. But when I think about we're all in this together, I really do. I think about everybody. I think about our students, which were identified. And Jamie, when you said we have over 15, or you have over 15,000 kids. And I think about our legislators and the importance that they have in working with us to develop the right laws and regulations that help us in the district, and they help support our teachers, our administration. We do focus a lot of attention on them for our funding, and it's very, very critical. As all of you know, it's going to be a struggle for the next probably at least 2 years as we work through some of our funding issues. But I think about the value of our student board members and our administration being here, and our leadership, and everything that every person is doing in this district. I think about the fantastic things that are going on in marketing. Just a lot of things, but I wanted to acknowledge that idea before I finish up here. So I had a couple of sentences of prepared comments, and I said that we the board, the district, and our community sincerely appreciate your service and dedication to students and to doing things right. Thank you for your public service. You did make a difference, and you helped move us toward grace and humility. We wish you the best and hope you have fun in your future adventures. So, thank you again, both of you.
Thank you.
So I guess that's about it. Yeah. Thank you again. Thanks for serving. You're welcome to your nameplates if you'd like. Rich, we're going to be a while. I don't know whether you want to.
I know.
I'm going to sit up here. Okay, great. Thank you. Jamie, are you sticking around?
Yeah, I'll be here.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll move on with the rest of our organizational meeting. Our secretary, Mary Carruthers, will administer the oath of office to, and you're going to do this singly, right? And we'll do it in the order that's indicated here. Mary?
Do I have Clyde first?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so Clyde Mayfield, will you please go up to the microphone with Mary and she'll administer the oath of office.
Would you raise your right hand? And I, and then your name,
I, Clyde Mayfield,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of Iowa,
of the State of Iowa,
and that I will faithfully
and that I will faithfully
and impartially,
and impartially,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
discharge all the duties
discharge all the duties
of the office of Davenport School Board Director
of Office of Davenport School Board Director
in the County of Scott, Iowa,
in the County of Scott, Iowa,
as now or hereafter required by law.
now and hereafter required by law.
Yes. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Sign this for me right here. I'm going to get your signatures while you're here. And then, look at this. All right. Allison. You're so Okay, raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Allison Beck,
I, Allison Beck,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of Iowa,
of the State of Iowa,
and that I will faithfully and impartially,
and that I will faithfully and impartially,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
discharge all the duties of the office
discharge all the duties of the office
of Davenport School Board Director
of Davenport School Board Director
in the County of Scott, Iowa,
in the County of Scott, Iowa,
as now
as now
or hereafter required by law.
or hereafter required by law.
Congratulations. Okay, and this is yours.
Okay, am I supposed to sit up there now?
Repeat after me. I, Bruce Potts,
I, Bruce Potts,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution of the United
the
States
Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Iowa,
and the Constitution of the State of Iowa,
and that I will faithfully and impartially,
that I will faithfully and impartially,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
discharge all the duties
discharge all the duties
of the office of Davenport School Board Director
of the office of Davenport School Board Director
in the county of Scott, Iowa,
in the county of Scott, Iowa,
as now or hereafter required by law.
as now or hereafter required by law.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I think at this time, Ralph, did you want to go ahead and have the new board members take their seat?
Yes, what I'd like to do, and welcome to both of you, Allison and Bruce, and there's going to be an opportunity later, we'll talk about a possible movement, but I'm going to ask Allison to go ahead and select one of the two empty seats.
Any chair. When the music stops, sit down.
And Bruce, you can take the other empty seat. How's that? Excuse me 1 second.
Yes.
I think we still could go to this, but I don't think I do that, because then we can't have any action.
Well, go ahead and leave it. In the other meetings, they had adjourned the organizational meeting before this, but go ahead and, go ahead and don't do it yet.
Excuse me 1 second. I'm just trying to discern a little bit of technical issue here. Like I say, it's a little bit of technical stuff. We're going to move forward with the organization of the new board. And so for this, I need a...
I'll just.
You're going to do it.
Yep.
Okay, so I would ask Mary to go ahead and conduct the officer elections.
Okay, thank you. As the board secretary, it is my responsibility to assist the board with the election of officers for 1 year period of time. I will first ask for a nomination for a temporary chair to conduct the election meeting. Nominations do not need a second. May I have a nomination for a temporary chair?
Madam Secretary,
Director Hayes.
I recommend the board nominate Mary Carruthers, Board Secretary, to serve as temporary chair for the election of officers.
Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, the nominations are closed. Is it the consensus of the board to ask me to serve as the temporary chair? All in favor, raise your hand. Okay, so no opposed. I therefore declare myself to serve as the temporary chair for the election of officers. I'm going to explain the voting process that we use. I will explain the rules of order for the voting process for the election of officers. If there is more than one nomination, the board automatically casts their votes for president and vice president by assigned written ballot. We will use the Roman system for this process if there are more than 2 people nominated. If there are 3 nominations for an office, there will be the first vote by written ballot, and then the person with the highest number of votes will not be included in the second ballot. The second vote will be between those receiving the lower number of votes. The winner of the second ballot will then challenge the person with the higher votes from the first ballot. If there are 2 or more people nominated, each person will be given a few minutes to share the reasons why they should be elected to the office prior to taking of the vote. Following their comments, the written vote will be held using the rules discussed. Any questions? Okay. If there is only 1 nomination, are board members willing to cast their vote by roll call vote or by a written ballot? I will call each of you by name, and you will answer either roll call or written ballot. If there is no consensus, it automatically defaults to written ballot. Director Johansson.
I'm sorry. I missed.
You need to tell me either roll call or written ballot. If there's only 1 nomination.
If there's only one,
Yeah.
roll call.
Okay. Director Gosa.
Roll call.
Director Beck.
Roll call.
Director DeSalvo.
Roll call.
Director Hayes.
Roll call.
Director Mayfield. And Director Potts. Therefore, if we have only 1 nomination, we will have consensus by roll call. Okay, we'll start with the election of president. May I have a nomination for the office of president? Director Hayes.
Madam Secretary, I recommend Director Johansson to remain as president.
Director Johansson, do you accept the nomination?
Yes.
Are there any other nominations for the office of president? Hearing no more nominations, the nominations are declared closed. Since there is only 1 person nominated, is it your wish that the board elect Ralph Johansson as president? When I call your name, please answer yes or no. Director Johansson.
Yes.
Director Mayfield.
Yes.
Director Beck.
Yes.
Director Gosa.
Yes.
Director Potts.
Yes.
Director Hayes.
Yes.
Director DeSalvo.
Yes.
I therefore declare Ralph Johansson president of the Davenport School Board for the 2017-18 school year. Congratulations. All right, at this point, we will move to the election of vice president. May I have a nomination for the office of vice president? Director DeSalvo.
Madam Secretary, I would like to nominate or continue on with Director Linda Hayes to be Vice President.
Do you accept the nomination for the office of vice president, Director Hayes?
Yes.
Are there any other nominations for the office of vice president? Gosh, this was easy. Good. Hearing no more nominations, the nominations are declared closed. Since there is only 1 person nominated, it is your wish that Linda Hayes serve as vice president of the Davenport School Board for the 2017-18 school year. When I call your name, please answer yes or no. Director Johansson.
Yes.
Director Mayfield.
Yes.
Director Beck.
Yes.
Director Gosa.
Yes.
Director Potts.
Yes.
Director Hayes.
Yes.
Director DeSalvo.
Yes.
I therefore declare Linda Hayes as Vice President of the Davenport School Board for the 2017-18 school year. Congratulations. I will now do the oath of office for the president. Ralph, if you could stand, please. And raise your right hand. I, Ralph Johansson, do solemnly swear to support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Iowa, and that I will faithfully and impartially, to the best of my ability, discharge the duties of the office of School Board President in the Davenport Community School District, is now or hereafter required by law. Thank you. And I just have something for both of you to sign sometime later this week. Director Hayes, would you like to stand, please, and raise your right hand and repeat after me? I, Linda Hayes, do solemnly swear to support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Iowa, and that I will faithfully and impartially, to the best of my ability, discharge the duties of the office of School Board Vice President in the Davenport Community School District, is now or hereafter required by law. Thank you. And I now turn the chair back over to President Johansson.
Thank you very much, Mary. Okay, we'll continue on with our meeting. We have certain committees that are standing committees of the board, and I just wanted to advise the board, because at the next regular meeting, I'm going to ask for board members to consider whether they'd like to participate on these committees. And so think about it, ask board members about it, especially Allison and Bruce, because there are opportunities. We allow up to 3 board members on these. We have open meetings laws that we try to be very, very careful of, and you'll see that as we move forward. And generally, what we try to avoid is any meeting of a quorum of the board. So there are ways to do that. There's ministerial meetings and things like that, but on these committees, we generally only allow 3, and we allowed 4 last year or 2 years ago on policy. It was a very special situation, as we could try to provide some guidance, and I think it was actually Nikki, and I think Jamie, wasn't that when you were getting ready to take over? Yeah, so because it can get kind of tough on some of these. Anyway, there are 4 standing committees. First is the Agenda Committee. The Agenda Committee is made up of the President, Vice President, and Superintendent. The Policy Committee is led by, generally, a board member. There is participation by the administration. Mary, of course, is in attendance and taking notes and minutes for all of that. And there's a lot that goes into policy. Legislative Advocacy Committee is, again, fantastically important. A lot of the groundwork has been done, but we still have a ways to go in getting this through. And we need the help of our legislature. We need the help of our students, of our community, of the state of Iowa. And so far, during our discussions, I think Director DeSalvo has offered to take charge of that and lead that. But there are opportunities for additional board members to participate on that committee. And we have the Poverty Committee, which was just approved tonight to be a standing committee. And Linda has been leading that, I think, with our superintendent. But now it's an official board committee, and I haven't had a chance to really talk with you whether you would want to stay, whether you would want to stay as chairperson. You would? Okay. All right, so Linda will be there, and again, there are opportunities for board members to participate. So think about those, talk with Mary, talk with Julie and Linda, see where you'd like to go. The last thing is that there's an opportunity that we have provided to rearrange the seating if necessary. And it's something that we don't need to do right now, but it's something to think about. If there's some reason, it may be that you need to be at a place where you can hear better or see better. In fact, I think Director Sherwood, I think, was one of those that wanted a certain place so that he could see our screens better. There may be any reason at all, but think about that too. And if there is some reason that you'd like to be in a certain place, let me know and we'll figure out what we can do. And that goes for all board members. With that, we're getting close to the end. I would ask if there are any administrative reports.
None, Mr. President.
Okay. Are there any board requests? I have two here. Oh, I guess I've only got one. What's that? Okay, we'll have a second one here in a minute. First board request is from Director Gosa. Date of request is 9/18/2017. I'd like to see a report on how the district is preparing students that do not go on to college with possible careers in skilled and building trades. Why are you requesting this information or agenda item? Because I feel this is very important in preparing students with successful career paths in skilled and building trades. Because not every student is going to go to college. Is there a second?
Second.
Was that Director DeSalvo?
Sorry.
Okay.
Scruffy voice.
And when would you like this information or agenda item? As soon as possible. And Allison and Bruce, these are board requests that you see at the table, and you have opportunities to put in these requests. Normally it's at every regular board meeting. We try to make them public, and then these go on. They may go to the superintendent for consideration if it's a report. They may go to the agenda committee. So that's how we get stuff on the agenda. Second, I have a request from Director Mayfield, dated 9/18/17. An agenda item, need to discuss the use of JB Gym and district facilities by Central Youth Program. Why are you requesting this information or agenda item? Need to solve issues with district facilities. Is there a second?
Second.
When would you like this information or agenda item? Director Mayfield?
As soon as possible.
Okay.
The reason why the use of it was normally in October, starting in October, so that season's coming up. I'd like to address it as soon as possible.
All right. We'll know. I put ASAP on the request. Okay. Thank you. Have I remembered everything? I don't see it here. Oh, okay, just a minute. Yeah, it's not urgent. I'll go ahead and indicate these at another board meeting. Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for sticking around. I would ask for a motion to adjourn. Okay. Is there a second? All those in favor say aye. This organizational meeting is adjourned.